potential long. We just basically had this small auction here. This range dipped out of it, pushed back in, and we've had a nice strong dip down into this demand, and we're starting to push back up. So if we get another deep push back up into this range, I'll look to get long on a pullback to the bottom edge of this range, this value area, for basically a test and then a push back above these highs. That's what I'm looking at. This is nice, aggressive buying. So what I'd like to see here is we've got aggressive buying here on this potential breakout. I'd like to see aggressive buying come back in. So I'd like these aggressive sellers to be wrong, and then as price comes up, I'd like to see some aggressive buyers step in. So we're starting to do that here. Some aggressive buyers step in because that essentially will add fuel to these trap shorts. So we've essentially got these guys down here that are trapped, and if we can see some more, aggressive selling, there we go, look at that aggressive buying there. So I'm going to get long here. I think that's a good spot. Stop below the low, and I'm going to target just the break of the high. So this is a really nice setup. I like to see this basically. You do see this quite often. So at a breakout area, we've got aggressive sellers at the low trying to get short. They get trapped, they get flipped, and then we have aggressive buying coming in, and delta typically will flip as well. So it doesn't mean it necessarily is going to work out, but that dynamic says that, they're potentially offside, and then they're covering, and then aggressive buyers are coming in. So it's all in all, it's a good sign. We're getting some nice buying up through here. If we break this area, I would say sort of the midpoint of this range, I'll get my stop under this bar. Otherwise, this isn't a big risk on this trade anyway. So we'll see if it holds. But this is a good sign. So you see that happen quite a bit. So there's another spot, I saw it earlier today, which was really nice. Where was it? Well, this is a pretty nice situation you can see here. So looking to basically break this low, we broke, aggressive selling right at the bottom, came back up, and then the aggressive buyers started stepping in, and then price basically flushed them. Similar kind of idea here, right? It's just not as dramatic. So we've got this area, this level, and then we've got a drop. Aggressive sellers start getting in, thinking we're going to break all these lows. They get trapped, put offside, and then we have aggressive buyers step in, and then that will typically mean that we'll then take price higher. Doesn't mean it will happen. So we've got more aggressive buying stepping in here again. So yeah, the battle rages on. We don't know who's going to win this, but the signs are good, right? So what I'll look to do is I'll look to get my stop below one of these lows. I just want it to kick back up above this volume. So I just want price to get back above this volume. We've essentially got at this high volume node, which makes sense, right? We've got these, we've got this little high volume area here where there's activity. So I really want to see price push up convincingly past that, like we just did, and actually close above that. So we can get a nice push and a close. So at this point, I'm going to get my stop below this bar. These volume areas should hold now. If I wasn't in this trade, this would be a really nice spot to get in long on a pullback here, which is essentially the bottom edge of this previous auction here that formed. So you can see this range, we basically ranged, broke out, trapped some shorts, tried. Aggressive buyers caught it, came in, pushed price back up into this fair value range, which we're now back up into, and we've formed this demand area here as well. So this would be a really good spot to go long, to be just a buy limit with your stop there, because essentially, if this area is going to hold, the odds are high that we're going to revisit and break a high of this range, which will at least let me get to break even. So for this trade, all I'm really looking for is for these highs to get broken. Once they get broken or tested, I can get to break even, and then we've got enough in front of us to at least hold us maybe to the midpoint of, or the top edge of this little value area, and then we can see if we actually get a bigger trade. So that's sort of how you manage your risk dynamically. So this is all looking all right so far. And this is a nice logical spot to put our stop now below this low if we do get up into these highs. So we'll see if we get up there. Last dip lower, and then we're having a nice strong push up and some aggressive buying coming in. So at this point, I'm going to get my stop below this low, this low here. That makes sense at this point. We're back up into this overall range, right, that we formed. We tried, we held under, we've popped up, tried one time to get into the range, couldn't. One last dip, and now we've rallied strong up into this range. So at this point, the bottom edge of this range should hold if this trade's going to work, and then we might basically dip and then push through. So if we come all the way back down and start testing back down into these lows again, then this range is essentially potentially going to fail, and we've got all these weak lows down here. So for break even for me, I'd be looking for it to at least come up and test. It doesn't have to break, but just to get up into this area. We've essentially got this demand area here now that I'm looking at, so I'll get my stop below that, and if we can test up into this high, which we're basically there, we're almost there, then I'll get to break even at that point. Could potentially get to break even now. I might actually reduce my risk a bit further, not fully to break even, just to give it a little bit of wiggle room in case it does want to sort of test back down into this area, but don't really want to take too much more risk on this trade, because this trade essentially has worked out in terms of the context of the auction. So we had the auction, right? This was all fair prices, dip under, unfair, imbalance up, back up into the range. Then we had a nice imbalance all the way down to see if we get the breakout, trapped shorts, tested the bottom edge of it, held in this area, aggressive buyers built, tried to get up, one last dip, and then we pushed back up into the range, right? So that's basically the completion of the read on what's happening. These shorts are trapped down here. They tried to get the breakout, they didn't, and as a result, they got trapped to the other side of this range, right? So that's as far as the auction needs to go in terms of now we see where it goes, right? So on a break even, now my hope is that these highs get flushed, right? That there's enough shorts here that they actually flush up high, which is what's happening here. So don't want to give too much back. So I will go behind this low if we can just continue to get a push up. Okay, so I'm going to go behind this bar, and then we'll see if we can just continue to flush up, because you might dip back into this range and continue. The trade's played out now, so now it's just a case of how much profit can I try and get out of this trade. Fine. So that's a nice trade. Basically got in long here on this initial bar, and then added some more as the context continued to play out. So once these shorts got trapped and we had these aggressive buyers come in, the trade idea was for these highs to get broken, and that's essentially what happened. So now I still think this is going to flush through all of these highs, but you just don't know, right? So you just got to manage your trade as best as you can. So now you can see that these highs are going to get flushed because there's just so many trapped shorts down here. But yeah, that was a really nice trade. That's a textbook, just a textbook failed breakout auction range kind of a setup. So yeah, that was a nice one.